What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In this video, we are talking about some NFL players that are currently available. What do I mean by that? Well, players that are either on the trade block or they are now free agents. So, let's get it started. Well, during the draft and draft time right now, it's draft week. We're just talking about draft prospects. And it's easy to forget, some of the players that are actually, still in the NFL that are available now for teams to acquire. Now, this doesn't mean we are going to acquire any players. Personally, I would love to just wait till after the draft to make some moves. Now, there have been, discussions about, maybe the Lions should, go during the draft, trade for Yanni, get one of their picks or something like that. There's been a lot of talk. Obviously, there's contracts and stuff that are involved because a lot of these guys are on their last year of a deal, and that's why, they are out there, available. So I'm just going to be going through some of the players. I just want to keep you guys in a loop with this. Doesn't mean we're going to bring anybody in. I'm not saying we should bring any of these guys in. I'll touch on a few of them, but really I just want to keep you guys updated on what's going on around the league. So the 49ers have actually put up 4 players. Yes, 4 players on the trade block. They are looking to save some cap space. There's a few teams. I think the Jaguars are the other team that are looking to do this. Some teams do not have their financials figured out, and that's not good. That's one thing about Bob Quinn that we can give him is that, yes, sometimes he doesn't make that extra move, and maybe that's not a good thing, but at the same time, he usually does have money that, he can make something happen if he has to. Remember last year we could go sign Mike Daniels because he had money in his back pocket to make it happen before the season started. He had that. That could end up being the case again this season. Maybe, just unexpectedly, we could sign a player that becomes available that no one else can because we didn't make all of our moves, before closer to the season when we really got to see the whole picture after the draft. He had money to go make that move and bring him in. Obviously, that didn't work out because of injuries, but that's just a luxury when you have a general manager in Bob Quinn who is, caught up with the money and he's understanding of what they need and he's safer with his money. So there's teams like the 49ers and the Jaguars that are in positions where they have to move players. They can't go through the draft without moving players. They have to find a way to clear up some cap space, and that may mean giving up, players for trade that really maybe they didn't want to trade, or maybe for just not enough in return just because they have to acquire some money back. They need to save some cap space. So the 49ers have 4 players available. One guy is D Ford. This is their defensive end. D Ford is actually a very interesting target. The Lions could potentially go after D Ford actually. In 2018 he had tons of sacks. 2018 he had 13 sacks. 2019 he had 6 sacks. He did miss a few games, and he's a 6'2", 252-pound edge rusher / defensive end. That's what he's kind of listed at with the 49ers. That could be a guy the Lions could potentially be interested in, maybe a trade. Marquise Goodwin is also a guy that is also available at wide receiver. Hasn't had, the same production recently, but again, another guy they're moving. One of their safeties, Turt, that's his last name, and then Quan Alexander, which Quan Alexander kind of surprised me. He's a young linebacker that has been pretty solid overall, right? He's made some big plays. He had one season where I believe he had 3 interceptions. He's not bad in coverage. Last season, he allowed 62% completion percentage with an interception. That could be, again, maybe someone the Lions are willing to go after just because of his coverage ability. I'm not saying they should. I'm just naming some players here. Then going to another team, this is the Jaguars, Marquise Lee. This is a wide receiver from the Jaguars that has recently been released. So the Jaguars and the 49ers are 2 teams that recently are trying to kind of move players because they need to find a way to acquire some cap space. And Marquise Lee is one of those players, a wide receiver from the Jaguars that has been released. Taj McGowan, he's a running back. I believe he was released as well. 23-year-old running back from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we know they also have Leonard Fournette, which they are offering for trade. So they're definitely going a different route here. Leonard Fournette's expected to get paid. He's getting about over $8 million in cap hit this season. He's expected to get a pretty big payday as he's a young running back with some really good production. And, we talked about him a little bit. Some people want him, some people don't want him. I just thought I would point that out that, yes, the Jaguars are another one of those teams that are trying to save cap, so they could be a team, willing to give us some players. You see it at the end of the year or during the season when some teams are just really, really bad and they'll start dropping players. This is kind of the opposite. Teams are trying to move players to save money for the draft and the rest of the offseason. The Dolphins, this is actually an interesting one. The Dolphins have said they are aggressively looking to trade up from the 18th pick. That is a rumor around the draft right now. This one's not a player, but it's super interesting. They're trying to move up from the 18th pick, which means not the 5th pick, the 18th pick. So I don't know if the Dolphins are going to move up in this year's draft. I actually have more of a feeling that the Chargers would than anybody. But if that's the case, moving up from 18, it looks like they want to get one of the top offensive linemen in this draft, which is smart. Miami, there you go. I like that. Good for you, Miami. Go get an offensive lineman. Protect, your quarterback, whoever that's going to be, whether it's Tua, whoever it may be. Protect that offensive line. It's all about the offensive line. You got to have a good offensive line. So they are aggressively looking to move up from number 18, sit at number 3, so they're not really a team that could, interest them unless they gave you a lot in return. I don't know if they want to move up to number 3. If they move to 3, they could go get a quarterback there, and then at 5 take a lineman if they were willing to. I don't really know if that'd be an option for the Detroit Lions, though. Yannick Ngakoue, I don't know how to say his name. You know what? Let's just move on. Yannick is a player from the Jacksonville Jaguars as well that has voiced that he is not happy in Jacksonville. He was actually, was he arguing with his GM, arguing with someone of the front office from the Jacksonville Jaguars on Twitter. He was mad. I was like, wow, this is crazy. So he wants out. Some people are like, hey, we should go get him and the 9th pick. They can keep 20. They'll get 3. You know what? If that was a thing, I could see it. I don't know if the Lions are going to want to go after a guy like Yannick because of that. Like, that's not exactly something that you want to have in your organization. I would be shocked. If Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia were willing to take that kind of player in. Actually, I read a thing today that Detroit Lions have the least amount of off-the-field suspensions on the team than any other team. Like that's kind of a weird stat, I know, but they don't bring in players that have that kind of, thing, that have off the field troubles. They don't bring in guys like that. They don't go that route. So it would shock me if they got Yannick. Now these aren't off the field suspensions, but he's not happy, and I don't know if Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn would want to go that route with a player that doesn't want to be in Jacksonville, but we'll see. Also, Joe Thuney is a guy that's potential trade bait for the New England Patriots as they may look to move up in this draft. Actually, though, recently, I've been thinking that I could definitely see the Patriots move back, not having a second-round pick. They do have multiple. I think they have 3 third-round picks, so they do have some picks. Maybe they'll look to move back if someone doesn't fall, or maybe if there is someone that they like, they'll move up. You never know with the Patriots. They could move up, and Joe Thuney could be one of those guys they decide to move again on the final year of his deal. Joe Thuney is definitely a guy I would love to acquire. He's proven. He's probably the best offensive line that would have been available if he wasn't franchise tagged in free agency. I would love to bring in Joe Thuney if that was an option, but obviously moving back to 23 is a long way to move back, and it doesn't sound like Bob Quinn would want to do that. However, maybe you don't have to move 3 and still acquire Joe Thuney. Maybe there's a way you can do it by giving them a mid-round pick and a future pick and acquire Joe Thuney. That could be possible, and I'd be down with that. Landon Fournette, we talked about him again. Like I said, Landon Fournette's the guy that's available, and Trey Burton is now a free agent. He was released by the Chicago Bears. So I just wanted to touch on a few players. Oh, Matt Breida. We talked about him a while ago from the 49ers. I was interested in going to get Matt Breida. So those are just a few players, that I wanted to touch on that have been in a lot of trade talks or they have been released recently. Let me know your thoughts. Would you go after any of those guys? I don't know if I would. I would really love to just wait until the draft happened, but I can see, a lot of crazy things happen. I'm not going to lie. I'm just excited. So let's just get this thing started. Be here Thursday. We will be live for the draft. All right, I'm working on some stuff. So thank you, Pat, for watching, and I'm out.